Today is the day. Looks like I'm not quite fully in picture, so let me give you a little bit more view. I am Karen, coming to you from Salt and Sand Studios, right in Warren, Vermont, Central Vermont. It's great to be here with you today. It's a little chilly with lots and lots of snow, but we are here to do yoga. So I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at the description for today's practice. Today is a practice of intention, of becoming one with your aspiration and manifesting what your heart's desire is. I need to get up again because I'm going to actually ask you to get up too and find something that's in your room that you cherish, and that is something that you want to imbue your heart's desire into. I've got a little stone here, black and white stone. I thought I had it with me, but all this up and down. Now, do we need to do yoga? Anyway, I want you to take that thing, whatever it is, if it's an image, a picture frame, a pillow, a candle, doesn't matter what it is, something that is small enough for you to hold on to. So imagine this thing, whatever it is, can embody your heart's desire. So why don't we start by lengthening the spine, keeping the item in our hands, and noticing the breath without changing it. A nice straight spine, the pelvis tilted gently forward, a little drawing in and up of the belly, and a noticing of the shoulders draping down the back. If you have something very small or smooth or like a stone in your hands, feel free to rub it like a talisman, a little worry stone, even though it's not going to be about worry. In one word, consider your heart's desire. This does not have to be some major change in your life, or traveling to a destination, but maybe it's something about your behavior, your aspirational behavior, or what you'd like to experience around you and inside you. It could be something like patience or calmness or joy or simplicity. Or maybe it's a word that you would like to, you aspire to remove something from your life, like chaos. Or you could take the opposite of that, simplify. Imagine you could imbue that into the objects that you have in hand. You're going to say your word 3 times as I say the word resolve. 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 If it is now something you can hold right onto your belly or onto your heart, press it there. And imagine the color of your word, of your intention, of your desire. Maybe it's many colors. Does it have a shape? Does it have dark lines or light lines or no lines? What about a sound like Ram or Om or Sam? And once again, as I say the word resolve 3 times, you will repeat this intention, this aspiration, this desire that you would work to manifest. Resolve. 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 Now, this object could become a touchstone for you, even if it's not a stone. Right now, we will put it at the front of our mat so it's not in our way, but we will come back to that intention, come back to that desire which you are looking to manifest, are working to manifest, are efforting to manifest. And then maybe that object is visible in your home or in your pocket. And every time you touch that object or are reminded of it or notice it, your word, your heart's desire comes forth. This provides a really terrific visual cue, textural cue of working toward our heart's desire. And now we'll drop our hands by our sides. We're going to move into Kapalabhati. I'm not sure I said that right. Kapalabhati breath. So we're really going to force the air out using the diaphragm, the belly and the diaphragm. But you're not going to breathe in between your huffs, as it were. That's not really a great word, but so the idea is that we're building strength in the core and we're building warmth in the body with our Kapalabhati breath. So you breathe in as deeply as you can, and then as many times as possible, you force that air out until it's completely gone. You don't breathe in between that. Then you pause and breathe. So we breathe in. And breathe in again. One more time. And a natural breath, drop your hands again by your sides. Drop your chin to your chest. Find some neck rolls in a single direction. And then opposite direction. When the chin drops to the chest next, lift it parallel to the earth and take a look over your right shoulder. Let the eyeballs follow as far as they can. Head comes towards center and then moves over the left shoulder. Eyeballs follow the same, trace the same path. Chin meets forward and the right ear to the right shoulder. I don't have a lot of flex here, but if you have more flex, you might stretch the arms out so the fingertips are on the ground. Lift the head and tilt it the other way. Lift your head this time, arms up overhead. Exhale, palms together, they draw to your heart. Take a few more of those swoops like you're creating a bubble of energy around you. This time maybe in cactus-shaped arms. Draw the elbows together in front of you and zip up the arms all the way to the fingertips. Press those fingertips together. Press the elbows together. You might feel a stretch in and around your hips. Loosen your knees and hip creases. Beautiful, beautiful. Bring out the arms into that goalpost shape again. And this time we draw the hands behind the head, interlace the fingers. Open wide the elbows and press the head back into your palms. Draw that tailbone forward so you don't dump everything into your low back. Now we're going to keep the head where it is, but shift the palms all the way toward the right shoulder. So you're making this sort of bow for an arrow. Breathe in fully twice. That's inhale and exhale. Not just breathe in fully twice. And tilt toward the right. Open up that heart. You're going to Wrap the left hand around your head and bring your right fingertips down to the ground. Crawl them away from you, keeping your sitting bones on the earth. See how far you can go to stretch that left side body. Maybe the right elbow even bends a little bit. Start to feel it under your arm, opening up the pecs and the rib cage. As you use the belly to rise back up, the hands come behind the head once more. They interlace, the fingers interlace the awkward way. Open up the elbows, lift the chest, press the tailbone forward, and draw the palms toward your left shoulder. Take your tilt. Right hand wraps around the rest of your head, left hand drops. Crawl the left fingers out, keep those sitting bones on the earth. Find more of a tilt. We're going to rise back up. Layer your arms behind you and lift, lift, lift from the pelvis all the way to the throat and from the back of the shoulders all the way to the crown of the head. Release your hands, stretch your left leg forward like a Shirshasana, so the sole of your right foot will be inside your left thigh, or calf will sit up tall. Inhale, the arms lift high. Exhale, a twist over to the right. Left hand on your right thigh. Sit up tall and twist. Find a little micro space. So you can loosen that right knee out and down. Draw the left toes toward your body or the sky. Inhale, front and center, arms come up. Exhale, twist to the other side. Inhale, arms come up in front. And we swap Shirshasana, right leg long, sole of the left foot inside your right thigh or calf. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, arms up high, heart forward, and twist to the other side. Inhale, arms up in front. Exhale, soles of your feet together. Inhale, tall. Exhale, hands draw behind you, fingers point toward your bottom. That should allow you to loosen your hip creases a little bit. So we're going to tilt the pelvis forward, lengthen the front body, squeeze those shoulder blades together, and post Valentine's Day, lift that heart, drop your head back. Drawing the belly in, we sit up nice and tall. And this time we hold on to the ankles or calves, sitting up and pressing those legs out and down. And we take the thumbs, we place them inside the inner arches of the feet. Open the feet up like a book. And then reach the heart forward, dropping your head. Maybe shaking it, nodding it, rolling the neck, opening and closing the jaw. Really feel those inner thighs opening up. Rise back up to your seat. Bring your hands outside your knees and lift the knees. I'm going to remove my pillow, my cushion. And we're going to bring the feet as wide as the mat and knock your knees together, essentially. So for some torso twists, it's also a core builder. we're going to go ahead and move the knees gently left and right. They might not touch the ground, and that's okay. You don't have to force it. While you're doing this, go ahead and bring your word back to mind. Your desire, that which you will manifest. Once the knees point back to the sky, we're going to go ahead and find our way, however graceful or ungraceful, whatever it takes, into a child's pose. Arms are long in front, knees are wide, big toes touch. You're stretching the sides of the body. You're stretching the back. If your shoulders struggle here, you can always bend your elbows a little outward and let your index finger touch. Sitting bones come toward your heels. Bring your word, your resolve, right to the center of your forehead. Roll your eyeballs up as if you're looking at it. And then go ahead and repeat your word to yourself as you rock your head very slowly left and right, as if you could imprint your word, your desire, your intention onto your gray matter, into your intuition. Meanwhile, allow the breath to ascend and descend your spine, stretching it out, and also work across the hips, the sacrum, left to right and right to left. And then you think of a T-square. Draw your way into your tabletop. And then go ahead and place your fingers either left and right or more toward your knees. We're going to open up the inner wrists. Your hands might be closer to your knees than your standard tabletop, but don't ignore the belly. So draw your pelvis forward, almost as if you're going to look at your navel, but your neck can be straight. Find a little rocking. If you've locked your elbows, maybe you can soften them. And then we're going to flip the hands to the other side. They might be much closer to your knees. The backs of the hands are on the mat. The backs of the wrists are pointing forward. Beware of that. Mine love to go out left and right. And again, maybe a little rocking. Maybe make a fist of your fingers. Maybe you don't, because that might be too much for you. One of the biggest challenges we have as we mature is strength. Balance also can become a challenge for many of us, but today we're working a bit more on the strength part. So come into your tabletop, and it's interesting how simple postures can become postures of strengthening if we're isolating the muscles to make them work. So if you feel like a sway back in your tabletop, you probably are. So press the pads of the fingers and the heels of the hands, the tops of the feet into the earth, and just tilt that pelvis downward a little bit. Now you've activated your belly. You're going to go ahead and float the right leg off the mat behind you. We're going to float the left arm in front of us, and we're going to do something different. Normally you would go knee to elbow here, but we're going to go knee to nose. It's a bigger balance challenge. Scoop that knee up. Inhale, stretch long. Seeing if you can keep your left arm extended, sweep that right leg all the way to the right, or maybe just a little bit to the right. See if you can keep it lifted. And then sweep it around behind you and above the left calf. You might peek over that way. Now you can drop your left hand, send the top of the right foot outside your mat and onto the ground, and glide the front of the left hip to your heel. This is not a pigeon. Your knee is ahead of your ankle. This is a glute opener, so if you're not feeling it on your left hip, you might Play around with things to even out your hips, square them up. You might tuck your right toes under, float your knee off the mat, and reach the heel behind you. You might say, now I feel it. So stretching also important, but in order to be strong, you need to stretch. In order to stretch, you don't necessarily need to be strong, but it does help so you don't overstretch. We're going to rise back to the three-legged dog. Bend the right knee like you're stepping on the sky and pump that knee up and down. Square up the hips, lengthen the leg again. Once again, sweep it out to the right, but this time, place the foot on the ground. So it's about even with your hip, your ankle is. We're going to rise up, and we're pressing a ton of energy into the outer edge of that right foot. Of course, I forgot to take off my sock, but we'll lift up the left arm and take a tilt over to the right. This is a combination of stretching and strengthening and balance. Woo! An all-in-one. We windmill the arms up and then over toward the left. You might have to bend at your hip first. And then you want to press the pelvis forward again so the hips and the shoulders are aligned. If you have a little bit of daring do in you, maybe you float that right leg off the mat. We're going to return to our tabletop and take a few cats and cows. If you need hip circles or hula hoop shapes, take that here. Listen to your body. Then we'll see if I can remember that sequence for the other side. All right. Fingertip pads, heels of the hands, tops of the feet and knees pressed to the earth. The tailbone moves down and forward a little bit, so we're very strong in the back. Imagine my grandmother's china, like a teacup and saucer, could sit comfortably without shifting on your back. Now we're going to reach that left leg long behind us, square up our hips. Reach the right arm in front of us, balance and strength. Keep the right arm extended, draw the left knee to the nose. Inhale, extend. Sweep that leg over to the left. I'm hitting the pole. And then sweep it over to the right, above your right calf. And then bring your right hand down. Glide the front of your left hip toward your right heel. If you're not feeling that stretch challenge in your glutes, left toes tuck under, knee floats off the mat, heel reaches farther away from you. You might feel this in your hamstrings as well, and that's okay. If you prefer to prop your head, you might make fists of your hands and stack them lengthwise. Forehead can rest there. We come back to our three-legged dog, left leg lifted. Bend that knee like you're stepping on the clouds and pump it up and down to open up the quad a little bit. We'll extend the leg again behind us, sweep it around to the left. And like we did before, we'll press the outer edge of that foot to the earth. So you're kind of like a little tripod here. We'll lift up. Settle ourselves, use that whole leg and foot, and we'll lift the right arm and take a tilt. Left hand should not be on your knee. It could be on your thigh or your calf. Our arms windmill up and over. We are now moving into rock star pose. Fingertips of the right hand on the ground. Pelvis presses forward. Left arm reaches up. Maybe you gaze up there, but keep pressing into the outer edge of that left foot, but don't forget about the big toe mound too. We're going to find our way back into the tabletop after we lift that left leg and sweep it behind us. Whoops. Hitting the pole, draw the knee to the mat. Knees together for rabbit pose. Sitting bones draw toward the heels. The big toes touch. The top of the head is on the ground, and the arms sweep to the sides of your legs. Come back to your resolution, your intention, your heart's desire right here, right now. Imagine it in big pink letters on a black background. All right, we're going to come to sitting on our heels for a moment and find our helicopter. Just if you're me, you want to be very careful about the poles or anything else that might be around you. If you can slap parts of your body without if you don't have any issues with lymph, and we pause. A cat shape. A cow shape. We're going to take lion. So when we take lion, we actually bulge the eyes open, force the tongue out of the mouth, making as loud a sound, lion sound as possible. I usually do it starting with the heels of my hands at my hip creases. Bring the hands down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Lion's breath. And inhale. Lion. Beautiful. We're going to work our way into a back bend here. So if you have some troublesome knees, whether it's the caps or the bend, you can always fold over your mat or place a rolled up towel or blanket or a pillow behind your knees. The first step, maybe where most people stay, is to take the heels of the hands and place them at your low back. Any flesh there, you're going to press downward. So you're kind of moving that out of the way, if you will, of your low back. For me, that's quite meaningful. For some of you, I'm sure there's not a lot going on there. And we're going to tilt the pelvis forward. Just like we did when we were seated now. We're going to lengthen the torso, both sides. Draw the shoulder blades together like it's still Valentine's Day and they're falling in love. Lift your heart like it's attached by a golden string to the sun. And then drop your head back. Draw the belly in and stack the shoulders over the hips. We'll take a little break by sitting on our heels and bringing the arms up with the backs of the hands facing forward. Now you're cloaking yourself, tilting your pelvis forward and lifting your bum off your heels and opening up your cloak. Batwoman, Batman, whatever it might be. And cloak yourself, backs of the hands together, head drops. Sitting bones lift up a little bit and inhale, come back. And one more time. Cloak and reveal. We come back up. If what we just did is enough for you, you're going to take that again. If you have a full camel, you feel open enough, feel free to take that now. I'm going to work and guide into a half camel. For me, I need to tuck my toes under. Same thing, heels of the hands to the lower back. We press the flesh down. Press that flesh. Is it political time? Sorry. pelvis forward, torso extended, shoulder blades together, heart lifted, head back, and then I bring one hand, my left hand to my left heel, continuing to work the pelvis forward to keep all the energy out of the low back, and then float the right arm high. Your right hand comes to the heart, belly draws in as the hips stack over, shoulders stack over the hips, prayer hands, and then the other side. We'll all draw our hands to the hearts, draw the belly in, stack the shoulders over the hips. Untuck your toes if they're tucked, and draw back to kneeling. Find your way back into a tabletop for your cats and cows. I'm going to remove my socks. We have a few standing postures, maybe kneeling, we'll see, to work through before this class ends. So we have a little ways to go. We come to stillness. The hands walk forward a couple of inches, toes tucked under, and then really slowly, as if you're lifting from the sacrum or from the tailbone, the coccyx, you're going to find your downward dog. Feet are not together, but they're not overly wide either. You might pedal into your down dog. By the way, if down dog doesn't work for you for whatever reason, you can always go into tabletop. Rise up to the tiptoes, come forward to your plank. Rise up, downward dog. Roll the heart forward to your plank. Reach the heels. Lift the hips, downward dog. Rise to the tiptoes, bend your knees, press your chest toward your thighs, then look forward and take a walk, a hop, a skip, or a jump to the front of your mat. Forward fold with any bind you like, maybe a yogi toe lock, maybe ragdoll, maybe the hands are behind your ankles or calves or under your feet. Rise up to stand, arms float overhead. Samasthihi, hands to your heart. Hands drop, arms sweep out and up. Exhale, forward fold. A halfway lift. No hands on knees. They can be on your shins or your thighs. Belly in, tailbone back, shoulders toward your hips. Exhale, forward fold. Rise up. If you need to exhale because you have a low back issue when you rise, it's perfectly fine. Breathe in, arms sweep wide and high. Exhale, hands draw to your heart. This time, we're going to spread the arms out straight. We're going to lift the toes, spread them wide, and then starting with your pinky toes, one at a time, they come down to the mat. Crazy, Karen, you say? That's difficult to do. Yes, indeed it is. Lift up to the balls of your feet so the heels come off the mat. Strengthening the ankles, strengthening our foundation. If you fall out of it, it's just yoga. Repeat it. Lean back on the heels, lift the balls of the feet off the mat, spread the toes again. Bring them down, feel each toe press into the earth. Big toe mound, so make a tripod connection with the foot. The big toe mound, the little toe, and the heel. See if you can feel that as if there's energy rising from the earth, lifting your inner arches and drawing upward from your inseams to your hips, to your ribs, to your shoulders, and then arms up overhead to your fingertips. Beautiful. We're going to take I almost said child's pose, a chair pose, Utkatasana. If you feel better with your hands at your heart, allow that to happen. We're going to move into a twist, however, bringing the left arm forward and the right arm back. See if you can keep your knees balanced, left and right. Arms forward, lock them into your shoulders, and take your twist the other way. Arms forward. We take a forward fold, and we step the left foot halfway back to the mat. You might spread your feet a little left and right. This is pyramid pose. I like to bring the fingers back toward the right front heel. The head is heavy. If you need to bend the front knee, go ahead, but try and keep your hips squared. If you need a prop, grab a pillow or books or whatever, place them under your hands. For flamingo pose, the hands come forward of the right toes. You send your energy into the right foot and you curl your left knee in. We'll bring that foot back down to the mat and draw into chair pose once more. Arms come forward, and this time we're going to work from chair pose into a core strengthener and then back into chair, but we're going to keep the arms locked into the shoulders. So the core strengthener, even though it's working a bit in chair, is to tilt the pelvis forward, and on an exhale, draw the low ribs to the hips and reach forward, head down. Breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to your chair, shoulders over your hips, arms overhead, and fold over your legs. Halfway lift into a forward fold. The right foot steps halfway back on the mat, and maybe we need to widen the stance so the hips square up for your pyramid pose. Bring your hands back, equal with your heel, front heel, and see if you can equalize the weight between the feet. For stork pose, hands move forward of your left foot, right knee comes in toward your chest. We're going to move into a warrior 2. So lengthen that right leg behind you, step it back, bring the foot parallel to the back of the mat, and spin up, warrior 2. Extend that front leg, spin it on your heel, your front heel, to bring it parallel to the front of your mat, and then spin on the back heel to point your toes to the back of your mat, warrior 2 on this side. Back heel spins, toes both point toward the long edge of your mat. Take your hands to your hips, find halfway down fold, and all the way down, drop your hands. Walk your hands toward the front of your mat and spin on that front heel. We're going to find our way into a tabletop once more for a back bend. Anahatasana, the hips stay right over the knees, and like a puppy or a kitty, you sort of find your way with your paws. Shoulders might move, they don't have to, till your forehead, chin, or chest is on the mat. And you're aiming for the chest to be there. So if you don't have an arch in the upper back with the chest part closer to the earth, See if you can find your way there with your breath, or imagine your object imbued with your heart's desire is either right behind your left shoulder blade, if it's small enough, or right below your heart, if it's larger. In whichever way that object, that desire, that word is helping you soften in toward the earth. Grumpy shoulders can be mollified by bending the elbows out left and right and touching the thumbs or the index fingers. And here we breathe softly and safely. Hands draw back under your shoulders, tuck your tailbone, rise up to your tabletop. I like to take a little left and right, letter C here. You might find hip circles or hula hoop movements. Take some of that strain out of your low back if you have found some. You want to unfind it. And now, moving into this next posture is not that easy from tabletop, but I find it's not a bad way to do it because you can be really aware of it. So we're moving into half pigeon. Yay, for some of you, I know. So I'm going to take my right leg and I'm going to use my left hand to help that leg come parallel to the front of the mat. So that whole shin is on the mat. My leg doesn't come quite parallel, and that's okay. I'm tucking my left toes under so that I can bring my knee farther away from my left knee, farther away from my right heel. I have a little bit of space here under my right glute, so I'm going to place a pillow under there. And if you like, maybe one more back bend. And then we take a fold over our right leg. Head should be resting on something, so if it's not the mat or the ground or a blanket, find your hands or a pillow. If you notice your back foot, your left foot on the extended leg is sort of sickling inward, maybe you try and straighten it out. Hands walk back under your shoulders, remove your prop, shift onto your right hip. We're going to swing the left leg around and stack it above the right shin. Those of you who like things to be very symmetrical, you're welcome to go back into your tabletop after this, but I will guide us into pigeon on the other side from the stacked logs posture. I know I say this many, many weeks, but because I live in Vermont, and especially because it's winter, there's a lot of snow on the ground, I like to do stacked logs because it makes me think of a warm fire, but also it makes me think of my word, my heart's desire. All right, we're almost there, people. We're going to shift that left shin in front of the right, lean onto the left hip to swing the right leg behind us. Again, it's maybe not graceful. I use my right foot to make my right leg long and straight out of my right hip. I definitely need a prop under my left glute. Little back bend, and then our half pigeon. Beautiful. Hands walk back. We shift onto that left hip to find our stacked logs, our last posture before we move onto our backs. So let's put our everything into it, which actually means put our nothing into it. This is one of the things I love so much about the Buddhist teachings and the Tibetan, especially the Tibetan teachings, is it's nothing and it's everything. It's everything. and it's nothing. Bring back to mind your heart's desire, your stone or your photograph or a pillow, whatever it might be that is in front of you, into which you imbued your heart's desire. We're going to lean back and uncross our legs and come all the way down to the mat. I will turn sideways for that. In here, yogi's choice. Legs up the wall. You might take a twist. You might take a shoulder stand if you can do it safely. I'm going to move into a simple twist. And if you took something asymmetrical, shift it to the other side at this time. Everyone brings the spine fully back to the mat, a little squeeze of the knees into the chest and maybe a rocking left and right. And move into your final resting postures for Shavasana. Long legs, or maybe the knees are bent, or maybe you have a pillow underneath them. Shoulder blades scooch a little together and a little downward. And the palms face upward, relaxed, receptive. Big breath in. Let it go. Your object representing your heart's desire has duplicated itself. There's one on your center forehead and one placed on your heart or in your heart. And allow that desire to leverage the breath. Through the breath's momentum, it fills your entire body, even the negative spaces, the dark places, the nooks and crannies. Know that through your practice, whether on the mat or off, you and only you can manifest your heart's desire. You can choose at any point in time how you react or how you are proactive. So let's join together once again in repeating silently our resolutions, our intentions, that which we would like to manifest. As I say the word resolve 3 times, bring them to your mind. Resolve, resolve, resolve. Find your way gently and slowly back to a seated posture where we will close our practice with the sound of Om, perhaps bringing your object into your lap or next to your heart. I have my stone. There's no need to tell anyone. But if at some point you would like to practice this with a friend, you might exchange your stones and offer your heart's desire to that individual so that we spread all of this good merit and good intentions. Palms together. Breathe all the air out of your lungs. Deep, full, complete inhale for Om. Thumb knuckles connect with your third eye center. Your intuitive energy center. May that which you desire to manifest become. Namaste. Thank you for sharing your practice and your energy with me. I hope that you have an opportunity to utilize this touchstone or touch photo or whatever it might be as you move into the rest of your days. Have a great one. See you soon. Stay warm if you're cool. Stay cool if you're warm.